So thank you all so much for joining us today for the National Environmental Public Health Internship Program Application Workshop for students. On behalf of the National Environmental Health Association, I want to say thank you, and we are very excited that you would like to learn more about the program and the possibility of becoming a NEPHIP intern. So my name is Adrienne Gothard. I am a program analyst with NEHA, and I've been working with the NEPHIP internship program for about 2.5 years. Joining me today is my colleague Jennifer Wells, who is a project coordinator, and she has been with us since the beginning of this year. We also have the support of wonderful NEHA leadership, such as Chris Walker, who is the senior program analyst over our NEPHIP project. So our goals for today are to share some of the specifics about the NEPHIP program, the application, and then the timelines for summer 2025. And you will also hear from two of your peers who recently participated in NEPHIP, and we will also have plenty of time for questions at the end. But please know that you can email us at nephip@neha.org at any time with questions. So before we jump into information about the NEPHIP program, I wanted to provide a brief introduction to the National Environmental Health Association, or NEHA. So NEHA is a professional society with more than 7,000 members across the nation, and our mission is to build, sustain, and empower an effective environmental health workforce. So if we achieve our mission of building, sustaining, and empowering an effective environmental health workforce, what we will have is healthy environments, meaning that we are addressing the health impacts caused by environmental health hazards, protected communities, meaning that we're identifying the stakeholders that are familiar with the challenges of communities and working with them to solve the challenges, and empowered professionals, meaning that we will have a diverse group of educated and experienced professionals in the workforce. All right, so jumping into NEPHIP, we have two very important partners for our NEPHIP program. The first is our funding entity and primary partner, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Water, Food, and Environmental Health Services branch. So it is through generous grant funding from the CDC that we're able to provide this internship program. Our other partner is the National Environmental Health Science and Protection Accreditation Council, or EHAC. So NEPHIP is offered exclusively to students that are enrolled in environmental health programs that are accredited through EHAC. So if you are unsure if the program that you're enrolled in is EHAC accredited, please take a look at the links that Jennifer just dropped into the chat. All right, and then of course NEHA. So NEHA has been facilitating this program since 2015, and so far we have supported 280 internships across 147 environmental public health agencies in 39 states and territories. So NEPHIP is a 400-hour internship that places environmental health students with host sites at state, tribal, local, and territorial environmental public health agencies. Through the program, NEPHIP interns are able to meet internship or practicum degree requirements. They can earn credit hours for required coursework, bolster their academic scholarship, and strengthen their work experience. The internship is designed to allow students to gain a firsthand perspective on the day-to-day responsibilities of environmental health professionals, help them to make invaluable connections with those that are working in the field, and work on independent projects based on the needs of the host program. Ultimately, we want students to be able to consider careers working in governmental environmental public health agencies after graduation. So some details about the program: students are provided with financial support during the internship, with undergraduates receiving $6,000 and graduates receiving $8,000 to cover expenses like lodging, food, and incidental expenses during the internship. Students who temporarily relocate for an in-person internship experience will also be offered an additional need-based relocation allowance to help cover other costs associated with relocating. And we'll talk a little bit more about internship format in a few minutes. So how the program works, we recruit qualified environmental health students, you all, who are eager to gain field experience, as well as we recruit environmental public health programs that are interested in hosting environmental health interns. We then match them based on a variety of factors, including the student's experience and interest and the host program's project portfolio. Additionally, we are prioritizing diversity and geographic representation in the selection process for students and host programs. In 2022, the program was revised and expanded, and now we're able to offer many additional benefits and opportunities for students. This includes access to several professional development learning sessions, participation in a series of valuable professional career mentorship sessions with current environmental health professionals that are working in state, tribal, local, and territorial health agencies, an automatic one-year NEHA student membership, access to the online NEHA community at large and our specific NEPHIP community group, as well as access to the NEHA Annual Education Conference that happens in the summer. So now I want to talk a little bit about what to expect during the internship if you are accepted and selected to participate. So the main focus of the internship experience will be an independent project. So this project will focus on solving a current environmental health problem or challenge facing the host program that you're matched with. So project topics can vary across all environmental health services and topic areas. And on the next slide, you'll hear a few examples. So host program mentors and the interns are asked to consider the sustainability of the project and how climate change can impact the environmental health challenge. They're asked to consider and identify environmental justice and health equity concerns as they relate to the project. As well as we also require the intern to produce a deliverable associated with the project. So really this is the natural output of the work that they're doing and what will be left with their host site when they're done with the internship. So for example, if you're researching a water quality issue that is a burden to a certain community, the deliverable might be a report on your findings or a presentation of your recommendations based on your research. So we will ask interns to submit a copy of the deliverable or deliverables to NEHA at the end of the internship experience, but this project can also be used to meet your university internship requirements if applicable. And so for more examples of deliverables that recent interns have created, you can check out our new NEPHIP experience page, which I believe Jennifer just dropped into the chat. And just a quick note, even though it is called an independent project, you will be working on this project in conjunction with your mentor and the other individuals at your host site. So it isn't completely independent. You will just be taking a very large role in making that project happen. And then that is something that you can list on your resume, in your portfolio, and kind of have that project to talk about when you are looking for jobs. All right, the other thing that we you can expect during the internship is that we ask host programs to provide opportunities for student interns to be exposed to various programs, activities, and services that are operated by their department. So this will help to support your knowledge and exposure to various environmental health services and topic areas. So examples could include climate and health work, food safety inspections, on-site water and wastewater programs, vector control work, emergency preparedness. Students get to go shadow with inspectors or have informational meetings with other environmental health departments. So the goal with this is really that students get a well-rounded experience that results in your understanding of the important work that environmental public health programs do. And then mentorship, we ask host programs to provide a primary mentor to the intern who will be available to assist in advising the intern on their independent project on a routine basis throughout the internship, and just be really their support person during the internship. So just some examples here for you. One example of a virtual project that we had in the fall of 2022 is from an intern that was placed with the New Orleans Health Department. So her mentor was a climate and health officer within the department, and the intern's independent project was to research how communities of color are disproportionately affected by climate change when they live in close proximity to pollution. So this work resulted in her deliverable of a story map based on a case study from a New Orleans neighborhood, and that will eventually be published on the department's website. And then one of our summer 2023 in-person interns was matched with the Cerro Gordo Department of Public Health in Mason City, Iowa. And her independent project was a research project with the emergency preparedness team, and their goal was to identify vulnerable populations within the county in order to address needs during and after a natural or man-made disaster. So this included evaluating their access to vital public health services, and for her deliverables, she did her research, she collected data, identified gaps in services, created GIS maps, and all of that will go into creating an emergency preparedness plan for the county. So now we're going to show a quick video about Kathy and her experience during the NEPHIP internship.
Hi, my name is Kathy Garcia, and I recently graduated from the University of Georgia studying environmental health science. I've always had a huge passion for environmental health, so I knew with interning with NEPHIP, I would be able to shadow these amazing faculty members within the department and get to know the programs that the environmental health division has. The internship is a 10-week program. Fortunately, I was able to find out that I was going to be located in Iowa. I'm very proud to say that I was willing to pick up everything and just move to Iowa. And so during that time, I was able to, meet my mentors, and they basically introduced me into the department. And I think I started to go to work sites during my first week of my internship all the way to the end of my internship. So I was able to shadow 8 of the 10 programs over there. So one of my favorites was actually the pool inspections. And then as well as the septic installments. So most of the time I was able to get outside of the office and get hands-on experience and learn the day-to-day task of what an EHS specialist performs. Within the environmental health division, we had a program which is emergency preparedness. So I was able to shadow the EHS manager. And so we were able to go to Mason City's airport and do a full-scale exercise. It was just more like an emergency event of a plane crash. So we were able to use the bus as a airplane that was, crashed. In case of a situation like this, we experienced stuff like going to the victims and seeing if they're deceased or what type of injuries they have. And so the emergency officers were able to coordinate, and we were able to see what type of help they get. Once this event took place, we were able to see what we did, what we could do better, and it helps the county provide emergency preparedness planners, controllers, evaluators, the information necessary to manage a disaster before, during, and after. The NEPHIP program helped me advance in my career, and I am proud to say that I now have a career as an environmental health specialist at the Georgia Department of Public Health.
All right, well, I'm so excited to introduce our panelists today. Unfortunately, Daniel's having some connection issues, but for now, I can introduce Kalachi, who was a NEPHIP intern this past summer. So you can go ahead and turn on your camera and unmute yourself. So I'll pass it over to you to introduce yourself, your name, university, degree program, who you interned with, and what your independent project was.
All right. Hi everyone. Hopefully y'all can all hear me. My name is Kalachi. I go to East Carolina University, which is here in North Carolina. I'm in my master's program right now. I'm doing environmental health, and I'm also getting a certificate in GIS, so Geographical Information Systems. I had the lovely pleasure of being able to work with Victoria Hudson over in Orange County, which is based here in North Carolina. And if you're familiar with the Triad area, so it was in the Durham area. And my independent project spanned on many different things. I got to partner with the health department and developing education and testing opportunities for PFABs and PFOs. And then I also did some research on electric vehicles slash hybrid vehicles and was able to present that information to the fire department in the area. And they were able to use that in their conference with all the fire departments meet and actually use my research. And then lastly, I helped them plan their environmental health equity summit, and I did all of this in the span of 10 weeks this summer. So, yes.
Yeah, it definitely goes by really fast. But in addition to your independent project, what other activities were you able to participate in?
So I was able to do a tabling event with them, where I was actually able to take the flyers that I developed for the PFABs and PFOBs and hand them out to the people in the community. So I got to see what the community looks like, which was interesting because it's different from the community that I'm used to in my hometown versus my college town in the place that I was working at this summer. So I was able to learn about all of that and then also meet with all the different staff in the department area because our department is just environmental health, but I was able to see all the public health individuals and people and various other education departments, and we were all there tabling, and it was really fun. And then going on the health inspector things I got to do over the summer, that was fun. Seeing how they do inspections in various different locations. I was able to do pool inspections, restaurants, and a nursing home.
Um, so what was your favorite part of the internship?
I think my favorite part, and this may sound a little cheesy, but going into the office and working with the people there, my boss, Victoria, she's amazing. She she's actually really funny, so it was very welcoming. And then also being there, and there were working with people who were in my age range, so I didn't feel like I was out of place or I didn't belong there because I was a little bit on the younger side. There were some people who were also in their 20s, so I felt welcomed. Um, and I will say, I think my favorite had to be the tabling event that we did because seeing all the different people in the community come out and show out and just be able to fundraise for different things was really fun.
Kind of along those same lines, in your opinion, what were the benefits of having that in-person experience?
So the benefit I would like to say is one, being able to know what a day-to-day office work is like. I learned that it's not going to be the same thing every day. I may go and do an inspection at a pool, and the next day I'm doing an inspection at a restaurant. So learning the different things that go in the credentials that you need for the different inspections was really interesting. And then overall, I had a little office space that I got to use and utilize with some of the other people there. And just being able to talk to them and learn more about them, I think was really beneficial for me deciding what career path I wanted to go down.
Next, what skills do you feel like you gained or built upon during your internship?
So definitely some more networking skills I was able to build upon. Also, learning more about what it means to be an environmental health specialist was very important. And just overall building those connections with people in the area. I will say some other skills that I got to develop was planning. I hadn't had to do that in such a grand scale before, so being able to know that this is my position and helping them plan for their equity summit I think was very beneficial, and seeing how that all goes in like the background per se. So that was really fun.
And then finally, overall, how did this internship benefit you, and what will you be taking from this experience into your future career in environmental health?
Yes. So, this internship benefited me a lot. So, I ended up, because of where my internship is, when I went back to school, they weren't able to like hire me because I wouldn't be in the area, but I was able to get employment in another place, like in the area in which I stay. So, I will say I'm able to use my boss as a reference to be able to get my environmental health specialist position, and I'm gonna be starting it pretty soon, so I'm really excited about that. And they know my boss, so it's not like I just ditched them and am never going back. They were very welcoming and very supportive. My boss was like, "She's gonna be great for you guys. You're gonna love her." And so I'm excited to figure out how this county does how they go about environmental health stuff, because I know each county and city has their own way of going about things differently. So I'm really excited for the opportunity.
Well, congratulations. That's
Thank you.
huge news. So again, want to say thank you so much, Kalachi, for sharing about your internship and what you gained from this experience. If anyone attending today has a question for Kalachi, you can go ahead and pop those in the chat, and we can circle back to those once we've concluded the presentation at the end.
And Jennifer, it looks
Thank
like
you.
Daniel has been able to join.
Yeah, so while we have you here, we just finished up chatting with Kalachi for a little bit. So Daniel, do you mind introducing yourself? Give your name, university, degree program, who you interned with, what your independent project was.
Okay, hi guys, hello everyone. First and foremost, I want to apologize for being late. Keeping you guys waiting. Then to answer your question, Jennifer, my name is Daniel, and I am a student of Fort Valley State University. I'm currently undergoing my master's program in the public health field and environmental health. I did my internship at Memphis at Shelby County Health Department in Memphis. My independent project was about childhood-led poisoning prevention project, the CLPPP. So my main function or my main job was to come up with new strategies to improve the already implemented strategies already at works at the health department when it comes to childhood-led prevention from kids ages 0 to 6. And we had a specific target audience. Our target audience were not just the kids aged 0 to 6, but also their caretakers. That means their nurses or their doctors or their nannies, so to speak, and also their parents as well, and also the kids as well. And most importantly, one of the challenges we faced was getting us to educate the health practitioners about it, because most of the times it's quite the health practitioners think that they know it, and then it comes into a thing of where you have to be quite practical with your explanations. So that was what my independent project was about, and with the childhood-led poisoning prevention program at Memphis.
Quite a mouthful. So
Yeah.
besides that main project, what other activities were you able to participate in?
This project required me to do some shadowing. So we did go to some home and we did some home inspections for lead, usually homes built before 1978 are the homes that are really quite exposed to lead poisoning. So we had to go to those homes. So we did some home inspections as well. And also I went to the clinic as well. So we do some capillary lead testing, that is with the blood. So we have to take some samples. So I had to go to I also did some shadowing activities at the hospital, at the clinic, where I learned some systems about how to, get the blood taken, and how to also test, and the procedures that were involved when it comes to blood testing and lead testing in kids. Yeah.
So in your opinion, what were the benefits of having that in-person experience?
I think the most important part of the in-person experience is getting to know the hands-on experience about how the system works, so to speak. For example, we had something called lead track, and if I wasn't on ground, I wouldn't have been able to know how to use that system and how to properly understand that system. I mean, it was going to, I probably would have read about it, but I would just have known about it theoretically speaking, but not how to actually put in what I'm supposed to put in on there. That's how we get to know about the kids who have high blood levels and how they are exposed to it, and how we've gotten to know if they're staying in old homes or if their parents are taking care of them correctly. So those are some of the things that we do on lead track. And those are some of the things that being on ground made me understand how to operate that system, because that was the most important system when it comes to lead tracking, especially in kids 0 to 6. So yeah.
So I know you had the experience of relocating for your internship. So what tips or advice do you have for other students who are maybe considering temporarily relocating for their internship?
I would say the most important thing to do is to make sure that you talk to your host sites. Make sure you keep in contact with them. They will be able to guide you and give you some tips as to accommodations and where you can stay and where you can't stay, and things you can and can't afford, and places that they think like will be, much more lenient when it comes to being a student and like, staying around those areas. That's what so they actually know about things like that. So you want to be able to keep in contact with them. You want to also keep your supervisor, that is whoever is your supervisor in your school, in your department, you also want to keep them in the loop about wherever you're going to as well, and get them to also see if they can communicate with the other side, so you can get both your site's mentor and your school supervisor to have a relationship. You have to get them to speak, introduce them both to each other, so that can make the transition from you moving to another city a lot more easier for you.
Definitely. And just want to quickly point out that finding and paying for housing is the intern's responsibility, but Daniel's absolutely right. Your host site knows their community pretty well, so they may be able to give some great advice or pointers, and kind of put you in the right direction to find temporary housing. So the internship is not 24/7. So outside of work, what kind of fun things did you get up to while you were in the area of your host site?
We went out to visit some museums. I went to visit Elvis Presley's place, I think, yeah. And then I also went to have the famous Memphis barbecue. So those were some of the two things that really stood out to me when I went over there. So my colleagues actually took me out on those expeditions. So yeah.
That's so nice. So what kind of skills do you feel like you gained or built upon during your experience?
First and foremost, I think I was able to learn a lot about health policy and management. Those are some of the skills I was able to build. I was able also to learn about health equity, as well as environmental injustice. Those are some of the skills I was able to pick up. I was able to pick up how to practically apply those policies. I was able to learn how those policies actually apply when it comes to real life situations. When you actually get to see them being applied in the field, is quite different from when you get to know about how to actually have those skill sets, so to speak. I'm also able to learn how to organize community events, because I was so to speak, I was so sort of in charge of making sure that I was able to come up with the community engagement program. I was supposed to be in charge of taking those flyers out and sharing them and talking to people. So I was also able to build that skill when it comes to people relationship and building communication skills as well, which is very, very important when it comes to public health. So those were some of the skills I was able to gain during the course of this internship, as well as being able to also write very good papers, because I had to put in a very concise literature review. So I had to also do some research. That also helped improve keep my research skills as well. So that was very good.
And lastly, how did your internship benefit you, and what will you be taking from that experience into your future career?
My internship was able to improve my professionalism. It was able to benefit me being able to make very new relationships when it comes to professional relationships and also career development relationships when it comes to the relationship I was able to get with my mentor and with the other staffs I was able to make very good friends with. We're still in contact till this day. I believe, so I think those are some of the things I was able to gain. I think being able to build those bridges was very important for me. So this is very, very important when it comes to being able to develop yourself personally speaking in my own perspective. So yeah, I take that with me.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much, Kalachi and Daniel, for sharing about your experience. And again, if you have specific questions for them, just drop that in the chat, and we'll circle back to those at the very end of the presentation. But with that, we can move on. All right. So now we'd like to talk about application requirements. So like we mentioned earlier, the first requirement is that student applicants must attend an environmental health academic program that is accredited by EHAC. So we have those links in the chat here, but those are also located in our NEPHIP for Students page on NEHA's website. The application also has the list of those universities and programs for you to select before you can move forward with the application. So just wanted to point out that some schools have both a bachelor's and master's program. So please ensure that you are enrolled in the specific program that you select. Just kind of double check on that. The program is open to graduate students and undergraduate sophomores, juniors, and seniors who have completed at least 1 year of environmental health coursework, and must be enrolled during the internship. So, for example, you would not be able to participate in a summer internship if you graduate in the spring. I know that some of you are international students, so just know that you are eligible for NEPHIP. We just ask on the application so that we are aware and can kind of help avoid any delays when it comes to additional steps later on during onboarding. So we require a background check to be completed for all of our interns, which requires the student to have a social security number. So that just might be an extra step for international students in the onboarding process. So along with the application, you'll need to be prepared to submit a current resume, a current unofficial transcript, and a letter of recommendation from a member of your environmental health program faculty. So you can find a copy of the recommendation form on the NEPHIP website, as well as it's also linked in the actual application. You will also be asked to answer 4 essay questions. We'll talk about those in the next slide. And then as well on the application, we ask several questions about the internship format. So virtual, in-person, hybrid. For the summer session especially, in-person internship formats are preferred. This is really to give you that hands-on experience, like Kalachi and Daniel just talked about. That'll help you better understand the work of governmental environmental health agencies. Additionally, many of the programs that apply to be host sites indicate that their project requires an intern to be in person to complete the actual work. So with that, we have a very limited number of host sites that are able to support virtual or hybrid internship experiences. Just want to emphasize that for the summer, the majority of the available internship positions will be in person. So kind of think about that while you're going through your application and thinking about kind of what format would work for you. We do understand that some folks may have extenuating circumstances that limit them from being able to participate in an in-person internship. But like I mentioned, those virtual positions will be pretty few and far between. Also, if you think about your university and the environmental public health programs like directly in your area, those programs probably get a lot of intern assistance. But if you think about an area that maybe doesn't have, a university with environmental health students in their region or even their state, it's definitely harder for them to get interns. So by us placing interns in those areas, it kind of helps out both ways. You're helping out the environmental health program, and you are taking your knowledge and everything, you're learning in your classes, to help them meet the needs of their community. So remember, this is a paid internship. We offer additional relocation allowance for those people relocating to be in person for their internships. So it's honestly a really cool opportunity to spend, 10 weeks potentially in a place you've never been before or want to go, to get this really great hands-on experience from your host site. So since I've been in my role, and I know this is the same for Adrian as well, we've never had an intern come back and say that they, regretted their decision to relocate. People come back and talk about how much fun they had, how great of an experience it was. So yeah, we highly recommend you think about that relocating and in-person internships. We also have a question on the application about regional preferences. So you can always let us know where you might want to go. And also think about where you have family or friends, because we know that support system is really important as well. So if you're flexible about relocating and your location preferences, that really helps tremendously when we are thinking about those potential matches for you. And we'll probably be more likely to be able to find you a match if you are flexible with that relocation. So you can access the student application when it opens, and all those supplemental materials on the NEPHIP website. So now I'd like to take some time to kind of talk about the ways you can really make your application stand out. First and foremost, make sure that you carefully review all the program requirements and details that are provided on our website. We want to make sure that you understand how the program works before you apply. Kind of along those same lines, it's important that you read the application instructions and questions carefully to ensure that you're providing the information that is asked for. So I mentioned the essay questions in the last slide. These will be things like, how do your personal and professional interests align with the purpose and mission of a local, state, territorial, or tribal environmental public health department? So with this question, you'd need to know what that purpose or mission is. So we recommend doing a little bit of research, maybe looking up your local environmental public health department, and reading about their mission, programs, and just overall what they do for the community, before you start writing about, how you connect with the mission of an environmental public health agency. So you'll also be asked to describe your interest in environmental health topics like sustainability, climate and health, environmental justice, and health disparities, which are some focus areas for our program's internships. There is also a question asking why you would be a good addition to this internship program, as well as how your own diverse backgrounds and experiences would positively contribute to NEPHIP. So some recommendations with these essay questions. Sometimes it's easier to type your answers out in like Microsoft Word instead of directly in the application, so that you have access to that spelling and grammar assistance, and then paste it back in when it looks good to you. Make sure that you're answering the questions that are asked. One sentence answers are definitely not enough to answer these questions. But on the flip side, we also don't need, a 5-paragraph answer. So, somewhere in the middle. Your answer should be in your own words. We want to see your passions and personality come through in your answers, but feel free to use, the resources that are available to you. You can share your answers with friends and family, academic contacts. That is totally acceptable and is actually a great way to kind of workshop and improve your answers. So as I mentioned in the last slide, you'll be required to submit some supplemental materials. For your resume, make sure that you are including all your relevant work experience, academic coursework, volunteer work, clubs, or professional organizations that you're active in. It's not necessary to, have a super fancy resume template, but definitely make sure you have correct grammar, spelling, and formatting. So again, using the resources that are available to you, including the career services at your university. They would be a great help to kind of improve your resume. If you want to learn more about resumes, we will be hosting a resume workshop for environmental health students next week. And we will drop that link to register in the chat if you're interested in attending. All right, moving on. For the unofficial transcripts, we don't want screenshots of, the university website or, a copy of the information into a Word document. We would like to see it as the downloaded unofficial transcripts from your university. So this transcript is used to make sure that you're meeting the requirement of having completed at least 1 year of environmental health academic coursework prior to the internship. So it's an important piece to the application. As far as the letter of recommendation, make sure that you ask a faculty member of your program to submit that letter for you on your behalf. So this is probably the most commonly missed item when we're collecting applications, and your application is not complete until we receive this piece. Even though, your recommender is sending the form or the letter directly to us, it is still ultimately your responsibility to ensure that it's sent to us by the application deadline. Our advice would be to request this early, as soon as possible, especially since, we're coming up on the holiday season. Everyone gets a little busier at this time. So giving them as much time as possible to do that is really what we recommend. So another thing that can really set a candidate apart is how they communicate over email. Even though we have a more general program-wide email, nephip@neha.org, remember that there's a person on the other side of that email. So whether you're emailing about your application or you're responding to a request for an interview, you want to make sure that you're leaving a positive impression. So an email with a greeting, a body that gives context and clear explanations, correct spelling and grammar, and a signature sign off is very different from a completely blank email with just an attachment or like a one sentence email. We can tell the difference. So presenting yourself in, a professional way in all facets of the application process is really important and can really, set yourself up for success. So before we move on, Adrian, anything else you wanted to add about the application process?
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. I think you did a really great job of highlighting what we're looking for. And I would just encourage anyone who is considering applying for NEPHIP to really, show us your passion for environmental public health. Let your personality shine through in your essay answers. And as far as considering the logistics of the internship, I would really encourage you to think through, what you're looking for in terms of format for the internship, and really just taking that leap of faith to be willing to go somewhere else for your internship. As Jennifer mentioned, I think it's really paid off for the interns who have done it in the past. For example, this last summer, we had a student from the University of Washington go up and complete her internship in Alaska. And I think she would agree that that was a, like a once in a lifetime experience for her. So again, I would just really encourage you to be open. If you select that on your application, it doesn't mean that you are locked in and you're going to have to move somewhere. Of course, there will be back and forth, and but just kind of having that openness has really paid off for interns. So I will stop there and pass it back to you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Adrian. Okay, so we will soon be recruiting for the summer 2025 session. Student applications will open up on the website on November 13th, which is next week, and will close on February 3rd. So this is the date by which we need to receive everything. So your application and all the supplemental materials. So that may seem like a really far away deadline of February 3rd, but we would strongly suggest getting your application submitted early. This is because, we start reviewing student and host site applications as they come in. So it's not uncommon for us to, read a host site application and think, oh, I remember this student's application and maybe they would be a good match. So apply early, and that might give you a leg up. The selection and matching process will take place in February and March of next year, and notifications for the selected summer 2025 interns will be sent out by the end of March. So when you're contacted about a potential match, we'll provide the location of the host program as well as a brief description of their proposed projects. Although these projects usually do morph at least a little bit based on the needs of the host site as well as the intern's interests and experience. So candidates will also have the opportunity to meet with their potential host site match before confirming your intent to participate in the program. So you'll both get to meet each other and make sure it's a good fit. So summer internships are 400 hours or 10 consecutive weeks full-time, starting anytime between May 5th and June 23rd, and wrapping up by the end of August at the latest. So we know some of your programs run on quarters instead of semesters, but even if you start the internship experience in mid to late June, this would still allow you to complete your 10-week internship by the end of August. And okay, so once accepted students and host sites confirm their intent to participate for the summer 2025 session, you'll work with your host site mentor to determine your internship arrangements. So start and end dates, schedules, and all the other logistics. In addition to submitting paperwork for our background check, interns will be asked to fill out an agreement form with NEHA and also have their academic advisor fill out an additional agreement. Additionally, interns will connect with your host mentor if there's even more administrative paperwork required from your academic institution. So several weeks before the internships begin, we'll host orientations for all participating interns and host sites to go over more details of the program and give you an opportunity to ask any of your questions. Throughout the internship, NEHA staff will be available to support interns and health programs as needed. We send out short check-in forms every week to help us identify any needs and see how projects are progressing. We also set up mid-internship meetings with the interns and mentors to discuss project progress and performance. And then at the conclusion of the internship, the interns are required to submit deliverables from their independent project and also give a short presentation to NEHA staff to describe their experience, highlight their independent project, and share what they've learned from their internship. So with that, I will hand it back to Adrian to wrap it up.
Awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. So yeah, in conclusion, we just really want to thank you all for joining us today to learn about the NEPHIP program, and we really hope to see you all apply for summer 2025 or for future NEPHIP cohorts. And I want to again thank you, Kalachi and Daniel. Thank you so much for being here today to share your experiences. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great day.